I asked you about your upbringing in America and your memories early on as a child, but can you take us through your story? Because I want to get to where leadership's at in America. But first of all, can you tell us about your secret to success and how you got to where you are today, and also your time at Uber?
Well, Uh, I was just lucky. I mean, they were lucky and worked hard, but going to a public school in this town called New Rochelle, which was in between the Bronx and Scarsdale, sort of one of the richest communities in America and one of the poorest, and New Rochelle was in the middle. And I went to public school there, so I had quite a diverse set of students with all walks of life and income. It was really a gift in retrospect, and lucky enough to get into Harvard after that as an undergraduate, and then Stanford Law School after that. And I got to Stanford Law School almost at the perfect time for the tech revolution. It was 1998 when I graduated, so Amazon had just started, Google had not been founded yet, um, and living in California at the time, there was so much excitement and so much focus on the tech industry that I got sucked in. Even though I went to law school, I said, I need to be part of this tech industry. And I went to a startup called Tell Me Networks in 1999. It was literally a garage where you open the front door, like you would your garage, and had been there for almost 18 years with a stint in the middle where I worked at the White House for the Secretary of Defense for 2 years during the winding down of the Afghanistan and Iraq wars. So I had both a business tech life and then a little bit of public service, which stayed with me forever, having gone to some of these military bases in Afghanistan and Iraq and Guantanamo Bay. Um, and that brought me to Uber. I met Travis, who was the CEO and founder, and it was just a black car company. And I said, Travis, I can't join a black car company for rich people. And so we became friends. And then with the launch of UberX, which was the democratizing part of Uber, that means anyone could drive and anyone could afford to take a ride. That's when I said, Travis, now I need to join. It was the wildest, most important part of my life. And it was an extraordinary outcome. And look at Uber today.
Where is the startup world going now? Would you still encourage people to take a similar path that you did, or are the glory days kind of behind us?
Every time one thinks the glory days are behind you, they come back, and this
Well, I love
artificial
that.
intelligence, the AI revolution is back in its like infancy, and it's creating the new level of excitement. And if you think about it, there was three waves. One was the internet in the early 2000s, the creation of the internet. Then it was the mobile phone and the app stores, which created an ecosystem of companies that could build around a mobile phone. And now we're in an AI and computing revolution. And so, yes, there's a lot of excitement. I always encourage people to consider it relative to being an investment banker or consultant. But it was a little overwrought up till 2021. Everyone wanted to be an entrepreneur. Everyone wanted to be
Yeah.
a CEO. Everyone had an idea that they thought was $1 billion idea. And I think we're back into a little bit of normalcy. Where you have to have a good idea, you have to work hard at it, and you have to have good people around you to do it, and you have to prove something.
And is that, I suppose, the key advice that you would give to anyone that is going to pursue a career in a startup, or they've got an idea, or that they want to be the next chief business officer at somewhere like Uber?
Yeah, my advice is don't start a company or join a company because you think it's cool to be in a startup. Join it because you believe in it, the mission. You have an understanding of what it's trying to do, and you're passionate about it because these startups are hard. Staying up all night. When I was at Uber, I ran Uber China, and I was running parts of the company in every time zone. So it wasn't for the weak of heart, and it wasn't always fun. So you really have to love it to really do it for long enough to have a company matter. Nothing works overnight.
What was Uber China like?
Oof. So Chinese relations with the West and with Australia and the UK, New Zealand, and the Four Eyes countries are much different than they were in 2013 and 14. There was a lot more optimism about the emergence of China as a world economic power and its potential openness to Western economic values. So being in China was really optimistic for Uber in 2014 and 15. Hard to imagine Uber or any really big tech company, launching in China the way we did back then. But it was an experience of a lifetime. And there was some unbelievable talent there, and there's so much of it, and there's so many big cities, so there's so much opportunity. So it's a little sad that right now it seems to be sort of devolving from the West in a way, and it's a different environment.
Just to pick up again on your story, you went to Harvard, you went to Stanford. Look, recently we've seen anti-Israel protests erupt on campuses. There seems to be a pretty big focus on identity politics at these institutions. What's your view on what's been unfolding there recently? What do you make of it?
I feel like the administrations of these great universities, historic universities, have let down the students, and they've let down their alumni, because what these places were intended to be, and what I thought it was when I was there, were places to debate ideas openly and politely. And the motto of Harvard is veritas in Latin. It means truth, seeking the truth. So they've become less focused on the truth and more focused on activism. And I don't think that's the purpose of what they are. Are they there to create activists, or there to create leaders? You could be a leader and an activist. You could be a leader and a business person. You could be a leader and an artist. And that's what I remember Harvard wanting to be. And sadly, it seems that they've diverted from those missions.
Are you concerned with the impact it's going to have on the next generation of graduates?
Oh, yes. This is going to be like U.S. higher education at the very elite level, Stanford, UPenn, Harvard, Princeton, is at an inflection point. It's either going to go back to its core values of truth-seeking and creating leaders, or it's going to become a political football like it's been in the last 6-9 months in the U.S. And it's going to, and it's president. There are open jobs as president of Harvard right now. They don't have a president. President of UPenn, president of Stanford. The choices they make are going to be very important to what happens to the next generation. I think the generation that just went through college didn't get the education they deserved.
Right.
The question is whether the next generation is.
Yeah. And do you have hope? Can you imagine, or can you see there being a shift take place?
I do. Because I actually don't think the students even want it to be that way. I actually believe that most of the students, not all, want it to be a place to trade ideas, to learn things, to become someone different than you were when you started. The alumni certainly want that. The problem is the bureaucracy and the administration in between. And if you look at some of the polling of the ideologies of the professors that select other professors, the admissions committees that select students, it's all one way on the political spectrum. And that's not a way to create an open, thoughtful university that's raising leaders. So there's really a small entrenched set of people that have to change. Everyone else believes it could change, so I am optimistic.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear optimistic, but it's been pretty crazy what we have seen over the past few months. I want to get your thoughts on leadership in America. We obviously, it looks like it's a rematch between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Where do you see it going?
I see it being very unpredictable.
Yeah.
So we have 6.5 months until the election, which seems not not a lot of time, but so many different things can happen in that time frame within the legal system, within the political system. Still two conventions to happen: the Democratic Party and Republican Party convention. But oddly enough, it all comes down to 5 or 6 U.S. states: Georgia, Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Nevada. And you could do the math. They have these electoral maps online where you could say who's going to win what. And last election, there was 70,000 votes in a country of 350 million people that decided essential election, 70,000. So it's going to be on the razor's edge again. And I just hope that the country can stick together through it.
You were reportedly vetted for a cabinet position when Donald Trump was in charge. Are you tempted to go into politics?
When I went to Harvard and Stanford, I always thought that was my mission. I'm going to go into government, and the reason why is because I heard the story from my parents about what growing up in Egypt was like for them, the opportunities they didn't have. And I said, okay, well, I'm so lucky I get to grow up in America. I need to contribute and give back as someone who, helps make government better and makes the country better. Sadly, government service has become a less honored profession than it was, and more of a showboat profession. But I am always looking for ways where I can contribute, and maybe it comes back to that. But I'm definitely going to be somewhere giving back to the country in different ways. I don't know if I'm made for electoral politics, but we'll see. I owe the country back, and I'm committed to giving back.
And how has life been after Uber?
Well, I was single and 45 when I left Uber. So now I'm married with 2 kids, living in Miami Beach, left San Francisco. So life's been fantastic. And I've been able to spend the last several years investing in new entrepreneurs, working with them to build great companies like Brex and Revolut, GoPuff. And I am working with a bunch of the AI companies now, like Perplexity and Harvey AI. So helping the next generation of entrepreneurs build things, plus the family has been truly a gift and really great.
Yeah.
Several years.
That must be pretty rewarding, right?
Yeah, it is. It's more than I could have hoped for.
Emil, Michael, it has been such a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you so much for coming on Power Hour all the way from Miami. Great to talk to you.
Great to talk to you too. Thanks for having me on, Gabriella.